you are at Lake Rant, where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one's for Andrew Soto, who says, rant about voices, specifically ones tied to sociological phenomena such as the gay voice and what you have called the furry voice, or whatever other trends you have observed regarding this. Include thoughts on biological males being able to perform nearly indistinguishable female voices, as well as any thoughts on gender dysphoria as it pertains to voices. I don't know if there is any science behind things like the gay voice. I don't know if that's ever been researched or studied. It seems like a common observable phenomenon, and it's the kind of thing where people from the outside will ask questions like, oh, isn't it just as likely that they just know that that's the gay voice and perform it deliberately? And the answer is no. Like, you can detect it in children who don't know they're gay yet. One of my best friends growing up, actually two of my best friends growing up, kind of had gay voices, and everybody called them gay, and they denied it, and then they turned out to be gay later on. Clearly we're not. Well, one of them was denying it. The other one wasn't really accused. But one of my friends who was often, called gay, and he had a bit of that, the voice. We all know what we're talking about. And I'm not talking about over the top camp gay voice. There's obviously a version of it that is played up by certain people, but just the inflection in your voice being a little bit different. It in a way it makes sense. It's like if being attracted to people of a certain sex is a biological thing, if as the science has said, if you are born gay, it doesn't seem unreasonable at all to think that there's a chance you'd also have a different voice, and obviously it's not consistent. Not every gay person has a noticeably gay voice, but it is so prevalent and so common that there has to be some kind of correlation. It would be shocking if there was no correlation, but it's the kind of thing that you can't really talk about without any science behind it, because then people are always just going to have various doubts about it. And I can't speculate as to why it is the case at all. As for the furry voice, this is something that only I've really observed. It's just again, it's almost non-surprising. It's if being a furry isn't something you just choose to do because you think it seems like fun, but some kind of natural proclivity or, hang-up, then it stands to reason that there'd be other biological, differences between people who had that attraction and people who don't. I don't think it's as consistent even as the gay voice, but just the number of furries I've heard talk who have a similarity in their voice is interesting. Again, there's no science here. Nobody's even looking into the furry voice, I don't think. But it's one of those things that, as I've brought it up and talked about it, there have been people who've told me that they've observed something similar. So, or, that once I put it in their head, they started noticing it. But, I haven't observed any other trends in regards to this. I haven't sometimes it's just dependent on the community you happen to be in. There are some people who, who I've observed communicating differently after they became a part of a certain community. That's more in word choice usually than their outright voice. But I think it's obviously there's plenty of people who deliberately change their voice. A lot of trans people will go out of their way to start using a different voice than their natural one. You say biological males can perform nearly indistinguishable female voices. It depends on your vocal range. Not all guys can do that. I personally have a voice that has a pretty large range. I can do somewhat convincing female voices, but I obviously can't do all female voices, or I don't know. I don't think it sounds I think it's hard for a guy to do a female voice with a fullness unless they have a voice that just sounds female anyways, which I've known guys who just straight up you would not think it was a guy if you heard them talking. Some of whom are gay, so I don't know if that also contributes in, I've known gay guys who just happen to sound like women when they talk. Again, no attempt was made to make this happen. It's just the way they sound. So, yeah, I'd be curious to read any research that has been done into these things. but I don't know shit. So that's all you're getting.